So, um, let us touch something on humanistic approach. Humanistic approach is based on how individuals perceive themselves and their potential for growth. So, what you think you are and how that pushes you or makes you strive to, become the better version of yourself that you would like to be. So, in this approach, there are three main aspects. Oh, and sorry, this is an approach by a psychologist called Carl Rogers, and it's called self concept theory, which is a key concept in the humanistic approach. So, what we're going to touch on is self concept theory. Okay? Well and good. So, if you are willing to take notes or you want to learn more, this is something that is content intensive. Basically, it's facts, not just story. So you can write something down or hold to memory. So there's self-image. Yeah, self-image is how you perceive yourself as here and now, who you think you are as of now, as of the moment. Okay, so that's the first concept of self. Okay, yeah, self concept. The second one is self esteem, which is also self worth. And this is how this self concept theory resonates to our topic of the day, self worth. So, self worth is what you believe or what you value yourself as of right now, as of today, as of this moment. That's what you believe. So, that is your self worth, which is also your self esteem. Now, there is another aspect called ideal self. Ideal self is who you wish to be, who you're striving to be, who you see yourself as in the future. Basically, the idea of yourself that you think is best. Yeah? The person you're aspiring to be. So, there's two other things we're going to talk about is congruence and incongruence. Congruence basically means being in line of, going according to. Yeah, it follows the same path. Incongruence means it veers off that path. Yeah, you get the concept. So having congruence means your self-image, your self-esteem, also known as self-worth, align with your ideal self. Basically, who you are, what you value yourself as, is in the right line to becoming your ideal self. And having congruence is good. That is what we strive to be. We strive to be congruent with ourselves. Having incongruence means either your self-image at the moment or your self-esteem at the moment does not align with your ideal self. Okay? And when it does not align with your ideal self, it brings about a few issues. One of the issues is now the impact of, we're going to touch more on self-esteem or self-worth, because that's the topic of today. When it comes to self-image, it really is tied a lot to your self-esteem. So your self-esteem is the root. So that's what creates your self-image, what you think of yourself and what you believe of yourself, or in your believe you are. And when your self-esteem and your self-image are aligned, you become your ideal self. Okay? And it's not just going to be like, huzzah, one day and then you're that. It's a process. Okay? So the moment when your self-esteem and self-image do not align, you are now at a point of incongruence. Meaning there are a few factors that are going to affect, and this is all internal and highly psychological. So that's where psychological impact comes in. So there's anxiety and depression. That's among many other things that are in line with this. There's so many other things. What you express to people. So people get what's it called? Avoidant. People get avoidant. People get abusive and highly self-abusive, meaning you put yourself in situations or conditions that are not the best for you, but because you're trying to survive, you're trying to just get to the next day, you think that's the best that's the best solution for you. And the lower the self-esteem, the more you allow a lot to happen to you. And the thing is, all this, the lack of high self-esteem or the lack of high self-image or the incongruence of all of it is not your fault. Like we have early touched on, yeah? Why does it happen? Yeah? So past traumas and all those other things that we've touched on, yeah? So that's what leads to this. You were a clean slate at birth. You were not brought here with any kind of baggage. Baggage is taken up as we grow, as we strive, as we live. And honestly, it's a problem that society has brought onto us. And it's society and trauma. Those are, at least from what I think, are the two major things that bring all this in. So, the imposter syndrome, going back to psychological impact, where you believe or you think you are not worthy of something, even so, the imposter syndrome works when you have done or strived to get whatever you're working towards. Yeah, let's say you're in school, yeah, and you're reading, you're going for all your classes, everything. But the end of the semester, when you do your exam, or when you do your exam and you get a good grade, you start asking yourself, is this really the best for me? Yeah? You ask yourself, could I have done better? So you don't consider the fact that you've done good. You don't consider the fact that you have actually achieved a grade that is yours. You're not expected to be perfect. And that's the thing. Society wants us to be perfect, but the reality of things is you can never be perfect. You can never be perfect. Okay? So, the imposter syndrome comes in when you don't feel like it is your right or you deserve that item. You feel like you don't have the right to have it for yourself or the right to own it. But the thing is, everyone deserves good. Like there's no one who is born or who is in this life that is given a mandate to be a bad person. There's no one. There's no one who is given a mandate to go through pain. There's no one whose work is to just make things bad or whatever. All those things that you might feel or might experience. And this is not just you. So it also happens to me as I'm speaking. As if you can tell, most of the examples are quote unquote personal. I don't psychoanalyze myself, but you don't give examples that you are not familiar with. So, this leads me to the next thing. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is where you actually break yourself even when you're doing good. Even when you have something that is going well for you. So you break it. It also happens when you are so afraid to fail. You're so afraid to experience new things that you never put yourself in a position where you can experience them or are able to be yourself. Okay? And this leads to a lot of self-loathing, because you might end up realizing that you could have just made that one step, or you could just have gone with it and everything would have been fine, after you have missed the opportunity. And now you feel so bad about being so afraid, which fear is normal. Fear is allowed. That's why you were born with it. Anything that you were born with is totally normal. Every single thing that you were born with is totally normal. So when you think about it, when you have that moment of uncertainty, that moment where you're not sure about yourself, remember, if you are born with it, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal. You're not supposed to meet societal standards. You're not supposed to meet every other single person's standards. Meet your own first. And when you do, you will realize that meeting other people's standards is
it's not the way to go.
Bro, it actually doesn't change anything, because you'll meet their standards and then they'll keep on having other higher standards. Yeah. So self-sabotage is also another impact of low self-worth, or low self-esteem. And there's something else called regard. So there's positive regard and negative regard. I will not touch about negative regard because that is not in line with what we're talking about. So positive regard has two aspects, yeah? So this guy, Rogers, believed that individuals develop their self-concept largely based on feedback they receive from other people. Okay? So, and this is most important during your fundamental stages where you are growing. So, in your childhood. And it plays a very, very strong role in creating who you are. So your identity is based on the regard you received as a child. So there's unconditional positive regard and there's conditioned positive regard. Unconditioned positive regard refers to the acceptance without any kind of condition. No condition at all. So it fosters a healthy living, actually improves your self-esteem so highly, and it actually gives you self-acceptance. So you can go back to an episode of self-acceptance and understand what self-acceptance is. And so to go back to this, unconditional positive regard, for example, is let's use the same thing on scores. Yeah, you're in school, you're doing whatever grade of school you're in. The work you're doing, as long as you're putting all the effort you can possibly, as long as you're giving it your very best, that's all you need. And when you, let's say, you can't be good at everything, to be honest. You cannot be good at everything. And one thing is, at least for myself, I knew from the moment I stepped into high school, I knew I was not good in chemistry. And I knew there was no way, even if I tried, there was no way I would get myself to love chemistry. I tried in Form 1. Yeah, didn't work. I tried in Form 2. Didn't work. And I was like, bruh, I've tried it for 2 years. I'm done, to be honest. Because I did 3 sciences. I was like, either way, this science is not going to be counted. And honestly, it actually made my life way easier. It really did make my life way easier. So, you have done your best in your best subjects, and the subjects that you're not so good at, you've done either poorly or, to the best of your ability. To the very best of your ability, you have done it. And you take your grades home, and your parents accept the grades as they are. They're like, yes, you have done your best. This is something that is good. This is something that is worthy of you. That is unconditional positive regard. Because they're not looking at your weaknesses and telling you, because you have failed at your weakest points, you're not worthy of anything. Yeah? So they look at you as a whole human being, because everyone has their flaws and everyone has their good sides and the benefits and, their opposite of flaws. I've forgotten the name. But everyone has their good and their bad. Okay? So if you've done good in your good, be proud of it. If you've done bad in your bad, bruh, what do you expect? Like, Mimi, to be honest, if there's any point in my life I've ever thought I'd get more than a C, not even a C plus, a plain C in chemistry, I was dreaming big. That one, that one I was dreaming big. Because I knew, to be honest, if I don't understand this thing, I don't understand it. So, to all the students listening, please do not be like Alvin Fadili. Focus and do your best. For me, I gave up completely. I really did not do chemistry. Yeah, I was just there. Just give it your best, yeah?
I tried that shit when I was young. So you see, the environment that I grew up in tends to highlight the bad more than the good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was at first it was CRE, and then I dropped that one. Then it became bio. So when my grade report came out, the first thing that was looked at was not the subject. The subjects that I passed did not matter. It's like sour next.
Yeah.
So what was always being highlighted was the failings that I had in bio. I didn't like it like as a subject, and then there was some
other factors.
other factors, poor teaching.
Hey, let's just call them other factors. Yeah.
So that we don't go for schools and administrations that were there at the time, things might get tricky.
Yeah.
But all that was being highlighted was the fact that I was not passing in this certain subject. And I got to a point where I tried like letting it go. Way. My African parents decided to step in. Like, it's like I had no choice. It's not that I was not trying, but it got to a point I'm like, instead of fighting for this grade to come from C to B, see, I get all the others A, and then it'll cancel out.
Yeah.
But I guess my logic and theirs is...
It's two different things.
Yeah.
So,
but you talked about the self-concept and how it's impacted by your childhood and what was being highlighted as you're a child.
Yeah.
Maybe if you got like good regard, you tend to have more self-esteem. That tends to relate to you being a more self-aware and self-confident person.
Yes.
Manzi, some of us, we just had to not care, manzi.
Yeah, and not actually, that's a good thing. Not caring is a way of avoiding. So by not caring, you were just coping with the situation. And what you just spoke about is the best example of conditioned positive regard. I don't even know why, like, if I ever understood why this guy was calling it positive, maybe I really don't know why I was calling
it. Sit down with him and ask him, boss.
But why positive? But yeah, positive regard is acceptance based on meeting expectations. So you had to meet an expectation so that you could be regarded as worthy.
To be honest, on a personal level, that's been like my whole existence. If I didn't have like my own disregard for people, and like I kept...
It's not really disregard, it's how you coped.
Yeah, if I didn't have the coping mechanism where I had some part of my self-worth was fully tied to me and unshakable based off of what people tell me or don't tell me or point out or don't point out, maybe I'd be a different person. But based off of the environment that I grew up in, it was really a sticky situation, because you've said that the base is your self-image, how you view yourself.
Yes.
Right? So that's like the building block. That's foundation.
Yeah.
And then comes your self-esteem, stroke self-worth, and then your ideal self. So some of us had to fight for or coped to keep our self-worth in check to some extent. But you see, the thing is, it's not all rainbows and sunshine and all that, because you've talked about humans being self-destructive. We're getting there. Self-sabotage is the word you use. So it gets to a point, the lines get blurry kidogo, and things go mlama.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So maybe, I don't know how I would put myself in a situation where I'd benefit from both. Because me, I'm still... it is very evident in my head that people measure my self-worth based off of what I have achieved. I don't do it that way, or I am learning not to, but it's there.
Yeah.
The imprint is
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And I think we also need to talk about how to break from it.
Yes.
But
So, you've actually said everything to understand about conditional positive regard. So, let us touch on how to break free from self-doubt and low self-worth. Okay? Recognizing, this is the hardest thing you could ever do. Recognizing and the internalized belief you already have. Like you have said, you strongly believe that everyone is going to give you a certain level of worth based on what you have done. Okay? So, what does that do to you? If you're free to share, that is.
Well, it depends, because sometimes you just let it be. Other times, when I view the situation as necessary, I will let people know that I'm not just based off of achievements. I have like a person. I'm a person. I'm a human being. There's other things to me than what you see that I have achieved. CG, KCP, KCSE, this, that. I'm human like you, man. I feel pain, I feel angry, I feel sad. Sometimes I don't even want to wake up. Sometimes life is hard, you know. But it depends on the situation at hand. If the situation allows me to express myself, I will. If it doesn't, we go with the way it is. If people then learn that there's more to you than just achievements, the better. But if they don't, to be honest, once the objective is over, I'm okay.
Yeah.
If we came here to shoot, once we are done, whether or not anyone talks to me, what brought us here is done. I can then go home. You see, objective complete. Whatever happens from that point forth, maybe it's because I've been conditionally loved for most of my life. Maybe, you know. But it's also, I don't think I'm in the right position to say that, because you see, there's a funny thing with your memory, where good experiences tend to then the bad ones tend to imprint themselves more to you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the hurt they cause you.
Yeah.
But you tend to remember the bad more than the good. So maybe I'm just dipping into vulnerability kidogo and opening up the concealed pain that I have accumulated over the years and telling you guys that I was conditionally loved. Maybe I wasn't.
If you have any kind of lack of self-worth or low self-worth, you are loved conditionally because you experienced conditional positive regard. So it's not maybe, it actually did happen.
Well,
yeah,
we shall go deal with it in due time.
Yes. So
back to breaking from it.
Yes. So there's, first of all, recognizing the internalized beliefs, what you actually believe as true or false. Yeah. What you have told yourself internally based on the societal expectation for you to meet something. And it comes with negative self-talk, comes with questioning yourself. It has a lot, yeah? And then there's comparison. I'm not sure if I talked about this earlier, but I was thinking about it. Comparison. You end up comparing yourself to every single person, whether they're ahead of you or behind you. I did say that, right? Yeah. So you stop comparing yourself. It's hard, to be honest. It's really hard. But the thing is, the mind is your own. You have to just push it and push it to what you want it to be, what you actually want it to be. And the moment where it becomes hard, that's when you're supposed to push even more. So you limit what brings you that kind of comparison. If you're going online, and then every time you're online, you're looking at these people and like, oh my god, their lives are so much better. I wish I were them. Limit your time on social media or that form of media that's giving you that kind of comparison. And so many other. That's just one example. Then reframing negative thoughts. So here there's a form of therapy. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. This is where, let me just read as it is. It's a type of talk therapy that helps individuals manage mental health problems. Mental health problems does not mean you're cuckoo in the upstairs.
In the brain.
Yeah. It just means you have something that is affecting you mentally. Yeah. The same way you can have a headache, the same way you can have a rash on your hand. It's the same thing. Yeah. By changing your thoughts. So how you feel and how you behave towards it. You change it from being negative to positive. It focuses on preventing It focuses on the present and aims to identify and modify unhelpful thoughts and patterns and break from that unhelpful form of behavior. So, reframing negative thoughts, that's basically it. It's just using cognitive behavioral therapy as a form to change what you feel about yourself in the negative form and try to make it positive. There is surrounding yourself with positive influences. Talk people who think of you as you actually are. Because one thing I've seen about us as human beings is the person that loves you most or the person that cares about you most knows your true self more than you do.
To be honest, I find that hard to believe because for one reason or another, I don't think
Don't look at your parents.
it has nothing to do with my parents. My parents
So-
parents stopped being in touch with me when I was about
See,
10 years.
don't look at your parents, yeah? And don't look at that person you think you love and loves you and cares for you if you don't show them. Bana, my ancestors, why now? But if you don't show them your true self, or you don't show them who you actually are. So if your method of coping is completely avoiding and completely hiding your true self from everyone else, even if you try the hardest to show someone that cares about you, that you're trying your best, or you're just doing your best, they will not be able to help you because they don't really know who you are. They're just seeing what you're showing them. No one is inside your head. You have to express for them to know. The last thing on breaking is self-compassion. Like, practice self-compassion. Actually care for yourself, actually love yourself, and actually be proud of how far you have come, because not so many people get thus far the way you did.
And not so many people appreciate themselves.
Exactly. So learn how to appreciate yourself. Go back to our episode on self-acceptance and appreciation, and you will understand that more.
So just to add on to what Alvin was saying, we also need to build resilience. Like, in as much as there's all this self-comparison,
Yeah.
you need to figure out that your self-esteem will be tested. People, society, situations, literally you just existing, you will be tested. So you need to build resilience to keep your self-esteem, because your self-esteem is something important. We also need to redefine what failure means. I don't get why people look at failure as this bad thing that's the end of the world and that you can't try again and that you can't learn.
That's actually a very important point.
Failure does not mean end of doing this thing, doing
Yes.
said thing.
Yes.
Failure means whatever method you tried at first did
Failed.
not work.
Yeah.
We can try again.
It is the method that has failed,
Bas.
not you.
Bas. So that also would help us break from, having a bad sense of self-worth or or even sense of self, right?
Yeah.
It would also help you reclaim yourself. We've preached being self-compassionate, like nothing else.
Hey, nothing
Like
else.
self-acceptance, self-compassion, not criticizing yourself. Now that one's hypocritical to me because
To all of us.
in as much as, you know, I encounter situations where people say that I'm a very confident person. If only you got to hear the amount of criticism that goes through my head every single minute. It's crazy.
Exactly. So that's a perfect example of surrounding yourself with positive influence, because people actually see the reality of your confidence.
Yeah,
so
but
when you
I
doubt it, it is it's basically you feeling like you cannot do it. It's feeling like you cannot be confident. You're feeling like you cannot do whatever it is you're doing. But people actually see, some people in some situations actually see things as they actually are. So when you get a compliment, especially one that is not like it's not expected, just know that compliment is very true.
Well, to be honest, these days I don't really like. I wouldn't say that I don't get compliments. Compliments don't get to me. I just receive it as feedback, and then bas.
Okay.
I don't know why it got to a point. I started questioning a lot about like why people compliment you and all that. So to get out of the analysis paralysis that was in my head, I sought to just accept it as it is, right? So if
You
someone
actually
tells,
no, you didn't accept it as it was.
no, accepting that I'm questioning this situation too much, right?
Okay.
So instead of like having to analyze a billion and one things once someone gives me a compliment, I just say thank you and I move on with my life. It might not get to me, but at least I've tried my best to offer feedback. Yeah, that's how I go about it. But I look into it later on in life, you know. Also, we need to find inner peace. Your sense of self, your self-worth, and your ideal self cannot happen if you are at war with yourself, right? So, again, self-acceptance, break from societal expectations, set your own expectations, live by your own expectations, appreciate yourself. One more thing that I would recommend people try is solitude, like staying by yourself, listening to yourself, giving yourself time to listen to those thoughts in your head that sometimes you don't want to listen to, because they are still a part of you. Suppression, as we earlier talked about, is not really the best thing to do. Regardless of whether something is good or bad,
That's
suppressing it makes the situation worse.
Yeah.
So find a way of expressing that will not hurt anyone. Solitude tends to be a very good way of doing that. Journaling, what's not. Maybe you talk to yourself. Maybe you talk to your cat or your dog. Who knows? It's honestly relative to you. But I think solitude is actually something very big that people need to try. Although people are getting lonelier, I think people need to also be okay with themselves while alone. Right? Like when...
But there is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Yeah.
So when you're alone,
that one is fine.
Yeah.
Accept being alone.
Yeah, accept being alone. Be comfortable with yourself when you're alone. When you're lonely, find friends, man.
No.
Find company.
No, don't just find friends, because sometimes people hide their loneliness by just having pointless people around them. Try and understand why it is that you're lonely.
Deal with the problem.
Yes.
Go straight to the root.
That is true. Yeah.
For me, self-esteem and self-care and like the self-concept of yourself is a concept that has just crossed my mind recently. So I'm still, finding out the tweaks and how this thing goes about, reading my definitions and all that.
Yeah.
So this episode for me has really been like very, very insightful. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, it has been insightful. It has really been insightful.
I've learned that I've been loved conditionally. Well,
yes.
is something hard to hit your brain all at once, you know.
You will find out that a whole lot of people love you conditionally. Once that condition is out of the table, they stop loving you. But I will not tell you that unconditional love does not exist.
But you know, it's honestly crazy that I don't view the possibility of unconditional love to be there. Like, even God does not love you unconditionally. Sindio, if you sin,
Oh, well,
okay, the version of God that religion has propagated
okay,
upon us.
yeah.
It is very good to clarify.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
for me, I know my God loves me unconditionally. Yeah.
But you see, let's make it controversial for why not reasons. Religion has this thing where they put conditions onto God so that you come back to them. So they make you need them for there to be conditions for you to receive special blessings from Father after you've removed Sadaka. You need to first of all remove Sadaka a lot. You know, if you remove kidogo, you're in
The prayer will not get there.
Bas. Prayer yako itafika times tower.
Yeah. And then,
Internet buffering.
Ama itaisha jet fuel.
Bas. So, guys, I don't know if God loves us unconditionally. Once we get to where God is, I will ask him.
He is omnipresent.
I don't know. But for me, the concept of unconditional love does not make sense.
Well, maybe it will make sense one day, maybe it will not. But, sorry, there's one thing I'd like to touch on before we, wrap it up. We have talked about society and its expectations so many times, yeah? And this is one thing I am going to repeat as many times as I possibly can, yeah? So now we're going to look at how to reduce societal pressure of questioning your own worth, okay? So, this
Step
is one thing we fail to do, being open. Like, actually create conversations about the possibility of having low self-worth and having, being unable to actually feel like you are worthy of things sometimes. And the thing is, you have to talk. And I'll give an example of a very good friend of mine. I will keep their identity anonymous, but they will know it is them by watching this episode or just listening, yeah? So this individual, personally, I wouldn't say that I gave them unconditional love, but I did not expect anything other than themselves. Like, there's no point I ever expected anything than them just being, natural and just being them. And many times I have brought up conversations that are supposed to be difficult. Many other times I have tried to probe wounds so that I can see if they're going to actually open up. They don't. But this is now me. I understand behavior. I read people. And I know for a fact this individual at one certain point blocked everything concerning me. Like, they just, closed off that page and are like, I live life. If there's any situation I'll need to interact with them, I'll just interact. After that, I'll just leave, yeah? And it's really crazy, yeah? It's really crazy to see how many times people get engrossed in themselves and forget that they are not alone. Especially when it comes to situations where you show up many times over, whether you have time or not. But yeah, so promote conversations. So at that point in time, so the example was, you have to be on the same level. You cannot promote a conversation of, all this with someone who doesn't want to listen or doesn't want to hear it. Yeah? You can't promote the same with someone who's not willing to open up. You cannot do that with someone who is not willing or able to let you in, even though you're trying. So
Let me ask a question.
yeah,
So for the person who's not able to open up, what would you tell them?
take the risk. Because you really cannot borrow grief from the future or the past. It is the here and now. It might be the same individual that has not listened to you, or that has not been there the right way in accordance to you. But most are the times where you give someone a requirement to meet without telling them.
So what you're saying is communicate expectations.
Yes. I am one individual who screams communication in every situation. One thing you need to do is communicate. I am not in your head and you're not in mine. So you cannot know what's going on in my head if I don't tell you, and I cannot know what's going in your head if you don't tell me. Communication is very important. So change the language around success. Stop asking, what have you achieved? Ask, what makes you feel like you are worth it? What makes you feel like you have gotten to the point you need to be? What makes you feel comfortable with yourself? What makes you feel happy? Yeah. Encourage alternative definitions of success. That what makes sense to you as success is what is success to you. It doesn't have to be getting an A. It doesn't have to be owning 3 to 10 vehicles. What success means to you is what success is, because it is a personal initiative. Success is personal to you. Supportive communities. This is really hard because communities these days don't even really care about each other. But to foster a supportive community, it begins with you. So if you're not willing to open up to someone else, don't expect someone else to be willing to open up to you. Don't expect anyone to break down or, share their whole life story if you're not willing to share your life story with them. Don't persecute someone for something they have done if you don't look at yourself first. So communities, supportive communities, are built from within. That's all I can say for that. And, challenging unrealistic expectations. You want to become a billionaire. You can't become a billionaire tomorrow. You can't become a billionaire without becoming a millionaire. You can't become a billionaire without knowing the risk it takes to have such money. So learn, and do not hold unrealistic or crazy expectations on yourself or any other person. And like Anthony said, finding peace with yourself is very, very important. This is the point where it actually makes a whole lot of sense. And this is where it starts to be able to even open up to other people, to even be able to help other people, or to even have a holistic self in whole. So accept imperfections. Like, you can never be perfect. You can never ever be perfect, and no one else can ever be perfect. So what you expect of someone else, if they don't meet the expectations yet they did their best, or if they don't meet your expectations yet they did their best, that is their form of perfect. That is the best they could ever do. So do not, in any case, try to become a perfect human being or try to strive to have perfection of others. It's impossible. Developing self-worth beyond achievements. So look at yourself beyond what you have achieved. Look at yourself beyond what you should achieve. Look at yourself as a whole human being without any other external thing. Like, the way you came, are you okay as you? And the last thing, and you gave this example and it was, spot on. Therapeutic techniques, which is one of them is isolation or, solitude with yourself. Just being okay with who you are. And isolation, not as a coping mechanism, not as a way to run away from what is real. 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 Wow. Internet.
Hala Madrid. I was suspended for that. I didn't forget, by the way.
But anyway, yeah. Do not what is I talking about? Hala Madrid ndo imeingia kwa akili sasa.
Suspension, loading, say utalipia pen 10 and they will deteriorate your self-esteem.
And you'll buy paint.
But and they will deteriorate your self-esteem for their own their own betterment.
Yeah, but anyway, therapeutic techniques. Solitude. Don't use isolation as a coping mechanism. Use it as a way to find your true self. Don't run away from the world. Don't run away from the reality of things. Okay? There's journaling, there's meditation, there's affirmations. Affirm yourself.
Yo naye yo darasa nikaa nilisomea nje
au kusoma hiyo darasa
yo
yote attendance 0. Zero attendance.
No, listen. For me,
attendance 0.
Affirmations don't work.
Attendance 0.
Affirmations.
See, the thing
I can't wake up and go tell myself in the mirror, do you are the shit, do you look nice? Don't you all think that's like woni nika
woni uko na shida?
Woni uko na shida ukiamka kujiambia hivyo.
Shida ni
the thought process that comes through my head.
Ona tunatakiana kwa episode bana. Aya.
So sikie. Yangu inakuanga sawa. You don't feel like you're worth this thing. Go then have undeniable evidence that you're worth it by doing it to then say, okay, now I've done it. So there's no point in doubting myself anymore.
One of the undeniable evidence is the fact that you actually are. So if, for example, what you said, you look nice. If you actually do look nice, that is all the evidence you need. And to be honest, looking nice is relative. It is relative to so many people. And to be honest, if you don't believe you look nice as an individual, no one else, like hata mtu, hata nani, hata ukuwe na 1 million people telling you look nice, you won't believe it. It begins with self. Because you came as you one individual. In that womb, even if you are twins, you are yourself. Let me tell you, even if you are conjoined, you are still yourself from the moment. Because conjoined...
Mnanga 3/4 personalities.
Kuna.
Na wale wenye wanakuanga mishikana kichwa.
Sasa sio ndo conjoined. Yeah. Hata kushikana kichwa bano. Those...
So they're two separate...
Yes, they're two separate human beings. Because that's how they started. And then, oh guy. Something happened to Nokondani.
Bluetooth device.
Wow. I am sorry for his actions and my own. Yeah. But yeah, just try to develop a positive self-image. And we have talked about ways to do it.
So if you've gotten to this point, man, shout out to you first of all.
Yes. Hey, episode bwana simekuwa mrefu. Na content Buddha.
So if you have friends who have low self-esteem, no. Share it to your friends.
Starting with yourself.
You don't know who has or who doesn't have low self-esteem.
All of them.
Take a bet.
Your whole contact share.
Bas, your whole contact is exaggerating. WhatsApp inakubalingi you share hizi vitu na 5 people. Just share to 5 of your closest friends and then we see,
Yeah.
We see what the engagement is like. We see what people say about their self-esteem. Wanna hear your stories, wanna hear your perspectives. See, what more we could add so that this becomes a holistic experience to you guys. Yeah, so if you've gotten to this point, kudos to you. Like, subscribe, and share, and we shall see you guys on the next one.
One thing before we close off, yeah? I will leave you with this. Inner peace begins with self-acceptance. And the way to accept yourself is to find out what you need to do to be ideal, to be your ideal self. So the two important things is self-acceptance and please, hata sijui niwaambie nini ingine, let go of perfectionism. With that, this is the Mirror Podcast, and thank you so much for listening. Au revoir.